Can I see your phone?
No, you can't see my phone.
Can I see your phone?
No, stand back.
Because if you're recording...
Welcome to Noxium, where police power meets public accountability.
In this episode, armed police officers outside London City Airport completely lose their composure the moment they spot a citizen holding a camera, instantly turning a quiet street into a scene of confrontation and intimidation. What should have been a routine non-event rapidly spirals out of control as officers attempt to enforce imaginary boundaries, issue baseless threats of arrest, and pursue EA along the pavement while demanding access to his property. It is a striking display of authority-driven overreach, where highly trained firearms officers abandon their primary responsibilities to launch a determined and questionable campaign against a man carrying nothing more than a camera.
Yeah, I was just doing a bit of filming. So this...
What is it exactly you're filming?
You, sir.
Right, okay, can I ask why?
Because you're standing in front of the camera.
Right, okay.
So there are some bylaws here
That's what I've come to find out.
that you need to ask permission from the airport employees.
Right.
You can fill.
And the legislation?
Is there London City Bylaws Act?
Right, there you go. See, that's that. Now, I've learned something already. This public road. Is it public road?
No, this is private road.
Okay, I'll sort of defer to your expertise there. But somebody say like they've got autistic, something like that, right?
Let's ask, are you still recording?
Yeah.
Is he okay to record? No. Right, in that case, can I ask you to turn that off?
You can ask me, yeah.
If you don't, you are liable to be arrested.
Really?
Yes.
Under what legislation?
Under the bylaws.
Bylaws, my colleague just explained to you.
Bylaws?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the code? What code is it? So,
Do you want to go and speak to Maya? Because Maya knows. Okay. So
can I just take your names and numbers first?
The officer begins this encounter by confidently claiming that EA is breaching the London City Airport bylaws simply by standing on a public access road with a camera. However, the facts tell a very different story. The London City Airport bylaws 1988 apply only within the airport's designated geographical boundary, meaning they carry no authority on land outside that area. Despite this, the officer attempts to enforce regulations in a location where those bylaws do not apply. The situation escalates further when the officer immediately threatens arrest, despite the fact that a bylaw offense is typically a summary matter dealt with through the appropriate legal process rather than serving as automatic grounds for detention. In doing so, he presents a misleading interpretation of the powers available to him. Adding to the concern, the officer repeatedly refuses to identify himself when asked. This directly conflicts with the requirements set out in paragraph 3.8 of Pace Code A, which states that an officer should provide their name or warrant number, along with their station, before proceeding with an interaction of this nature. Rather than promoting transparency and accountability, the officer's conduct only serves to raise further questions about the legality and professionalism of the encounter.
Under the bylaws.
That's what I've asked you. What code? What's the code? So I can go and have a look.
London City bylaws state
Yeah.
that you are not allowed to use recording equipment or
In the
record
airport.
any part of the airport footprint.
No, there's not any part. It's not any part.
No, any part of the airport footprint. There is a map
Yeah.
which will do that.
I've seen this. You know, you said you know auditing. I've seen ones at Stansted and Heathrow and stuff like that where people are walking around. It's only certain areas within the airport.
Okay, so
where
the area that's outlined by the map
yeah,
is where you're stood right now.
yeah. Right. How do I?
If you would like to go to a part of the area that isn't covered in the map.
And how would I know that? How would if I've got learning difficulty? You know, I have got a learning difficulty. Let's just presume that. Yeah. How would I know that this is? I've gone from because I thought this is a public road.
Okay, well, I'm telling you it's not.
Yeah.
So
I'm just asking you for the code, didn't I? I've also asked you to ID.
You've asked me for the code. And
You're refusing the
I've asked you
ID.
to stop recording because you are in breach of the bylaws.
I don't know. How do I know that?
Right, we will get you the exact bylaws of what they are.
There you go.
Okay, that's no problem.
Then I can educate
That's
myself.
what my colleague is doing now.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
The bylaws,
Right.
And we'll sure be explained to you.
There you go. And then I'm saying.
The officer's sweeping claim that EA is prohibited from recording anywhere in the area quickly falls apart under scrutiny. When challenged to identify the specific rule or legislation they are attempting to enforce, the officers are unable to provide a clear answer, exposing a significant gap between their demands and any identifiable legal authority. Rather than offering the clarity that any member of the public is entitled to receive, they retreat into silence, failing to cite a single provision that supports the restrictions they are attempting to impose. The lack of transparency becomes even more concerning as the encounter continues. Despite multiple direct requests, the officer refuses to provide his details, treating a basic element of public accountability as though it were optional. This conduct sits uneasily alongside the standards expected of modern policing, particularly the principles outlined in Section 2 of the College of Policing Code of Ethics, which emphasize openness, transparency, and accessibility when dealing with members of the public. Instead of engaging professionally and explaining the legal basis for their actions, The officers rely on unsupported assertions while avoiding straightforward questions about their authority. As a result, what should have been a simple and routine interaction becomes an example of poor communication, questionable decision-making, and a troubling reluctance to uphold the standards of accountability expected from those entrusted with policing the public.
But you don't want to ID yourself. Is that not part of your regulations?
My shoulder number is quite clear for you to see.
What if I can't read?
Right,
what if I was blind?
You can see it on your camera.
What if I was blind?
But you can see it on your camera.
But that's not for you to decide, is it? Like, your policy states that, like, if somebody asks you for your ID to give you a name, number, what station you came out.
I don't need to.
You don't need to.
I don't have to.
You don't have to.
It's quite clear. As I say, my shoulder number and my name is clear for you to see.
Is that correct, sir? He doesn't have to ID himself if requested.
If we
for a member
provided
of
our
the public.
shoulder numbers, which I have
If I was blind or if I couldn't read or,
But you're
you know.
not.
But that's not for you to presume, is it?
You're being unreasonable.
I'm not being unreasonable. I've asked you a simple
My
question.
colleagues explained to you.
Something over.
Okay, we're going to get you the bylaws. I'm not
Well,
going
this
to
is the
engage.
code.
I'm not going to engage with.
The first thing I said, like, is that you would expect somebody to do on private property. Ask me to leave, sir. If somebody asks me to leave, I leave. This is private property. I'm not sure. Because it looks, I mean, there are yellow lines over there, look, and the box junction and the road signs look the same. I can't see a name on the road. That would tell me if it's public or not. I don't know. That's why I've come here. I'm being genuine. I'm not being nasty with you.
The officers eventually respond, but only to offer what appears to be a remarkably weak justification. According to them, there is no need to provide their details because their identification numbers are already visible on their shoulders. However, this explanation does little to address the concerns being raised and sits uncomfortably alongside the standards of openness and transparency expected of officers when engaging with members of the public. Accountability is not something that can be dismissed with a passing reference to a uniform. It is a fundamental part of public trust and professional policing. EA then places the officers in a difficult position by highlighting a straightforward point. If the location genuinely is private land, the solution is simple: ask him to leave. He makes it clear that he is willing to walk away if requested. Yet rather than engaging with that reasonable proposition, the officers appear unwilling to address it directly. Their silence becomes increasingly noticeable. Faced with a practical resolution that would immediately settle the matter, they offer no meaningful response and fail to explain why such an approach is not being taken. Instead of clarifying their position or resolving the situation through clear communication, they simply ignore the point altogether. As a result, the encounter begins to look less like a legitimate effort to enforce rules and more like an attempt to control activity that the officers simply do not approve of. The failure to answer straightforward questions or engage with reasonable alternatives only deepens the uncertainty surrounding the legal basis for their actions and raises further concerns about the professionalism of the interaction.
There are lots of people here that come here for legitimate reasons, to fly, to use the trains, to use the buses.
Would it make a difference if I came here for a legitimate reason, i.e. to drop someone off?
So, of course, there's people dropping passengers off
That's what I've done.
all the time.
That's why I'm here. I came to drop someone off. I've dropped her off, and now I've just coming out of the airport. And
No one's got an issue with the fact that you've dropped anyone off.
Yeah.
The issue is about your recording.
Yeah, no, but
and,
there's no-
the bylaws state that if you want to record on this property, that you would have to do that with
right.
the
And that's all I've come for.
permission
Right.
from the airport.
right, the pathway, that's got to be public, right? On the other
But
side.
it's all on private property.
We've asked you to stop recording. You haven't done
You haven't
that.
got no jurisdiction on my recording. You've got the jurisdiction on my
If
presence.
this is private premises or private area and you've got no business to be here,
Yeah.
then the staff can ask you to leave.
Is that that's what rules are for, eh?
Well, they can ask you to leave.
Yeah, but that's
We
what
haven't
rules are for, though, isn't
We
it?
haven't asked you to leave. We've just asked you to stop recording.
Are you filming, sir?
Right? Sorry?
Are you filming?
I am recording,
Yeah.
yes.
What's your policy on filming? Like, for a person that's a data handler?
Sorry?
Data handler, you're
I'm
obliged
recording
to...
for my benefit and your benefit, sir.
Right, yeah, but your policy states, your regulation state that you tell member of public as a data handler that so that if they wish to claim that footage later on.
You've asked me if I'm recording and I said I am, so there you go.
Yeah, I suppose that helps to rectify yourself. Are you recording, sir? Yeah.
These officers appear increasingly determined to find a reason to stop EA, eventually resorting to the remarkably weak argument that people should only be on the road for a legitimate purpose. Yet that raises an obvious question. Since when does walking along a public access road with a camera require an individual to justify their presence to the police? Rather than providing a clear legal basis for their position, the officers continue to rely on unsupported assertions. They then double down on the claim by insisting that EA requires explicit permission from the airport in order to film. However, the wording of the London City Airport Bylaws 1988 tells a different story. Bylaw 6 relates to the use of recording apparatus in specific circumstances, particularly where recording may be conducted for commercial purposes or in a manner that causes disruption. It does not automatically prohibit a member of the public from capturing personal footage on a smartphone, nor does it create a blanket ban on recording as the officers appear to suggest. The contradiction becomes even more apparent when EA challenges the officers over their own recording practices. He points out that, while objecting to him filming, they have failed to clearly inform him that they are recording the interaction on body-worn video. The issue raises important questions regarding transparency and public notification when police recording equipment is activated. Guidance relating to data protection and body-worn video emphasizes the importance of providing clear notice wherever practicable, ensuring that members of the public understand when and why they are being recorded. As the encounter draws to a close, the officers continue to struggle to justify their position, while EA repeatedly highlights inconsistencies in both their arguments and their conduct. What began as a routine interaction ultimately develops into a contentious exchange marked by unanswered questions, disputed interpretations of the rules, and growing concerns about accountability, transparency, and the lawful exercise of police powers. Thanks for watching.